What's going on, Master Duel fans? It's your boy Cal Life here, bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video, and today we are entering the Duelist Cup on my alt account. That's right, we're playing on the second account, and you guys love this account because this is my straight fusion deck. Well, anyways, what am I playing? I'm actually going to be playing branded Despia PREDAPLANTs. This deck is so fun to play. I'm actually liking playing this more than pure Despia, just because the PREDAPLANT cards are so fun and they are able to just keep adding cards, and they actually have a pretty good trap card, which is a rare. So, but anyways, what's the goal of this deck? Basically, to go ahead and toss the buy list into the graveyard. This is going to let us add a card to our hand that's a PREDAPLANT, right? So what I usually like to do is then add the Scorpio, summon out the Scorpio onto the field. We can then send one monster to the graveyard that is in our deck, right? I mean, from our hand, and then from there we can special summon one PREDAPLANT monster. And what are we going to be summoning? The one and only Darling Tonya. Now, Darling Tonya is really good because once this gets summoned to the field, you can then go ahead and search any poly or fusion spell card, and bro, look at all the cards it is able to search. Look at this, all these cards, right? So what we usually end up doing is actually searching out the super polys, or we can search out a branded fusion, or we can even search out the branded in red. Plus the instant fusion is also searchable. So as you can see, this deck is really fun. On top of that, we do have the PREDAPLANT Moletis, which is basically when this summons, you can add a spell trap from your deck to your hand or a monster, and then you can use this effect to tribute one card on the field to then special summon one PREDAPLANT monster onto the field, which is another way to go ahead and get the Darling Tonya onto the field as well. But anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know if you want to see more of this deck in the future. I think this deck is really fun. And also let me know if you want to see a pure build of PREDAPLANTs, because I might go ahead and do that. But yeah, enjoy the video. Peace. Also, guys, I do want to point out, as you can see with this deck, right? I'm not even joking. We have hit 19, right? With this deck on the alt account. We did already hit 20 on the main, and we're already on 19 on the alt account just playing this, so we're almost at max. But anyways, yeah, like I said, enjoy the video. All right, so as you guys can see, we are going to be going second, and this is going to be such a crazy duel. Like, I had did this live on stream, so a lot of people was watching at the time, right? And I had someone like really doubting me because they played Labyrinth in TCG, and they're like, Cal, I don't think you can win here. And you're gonna see. So anyways, they obviously gonna start off with the vaccine. We're gonna start off with the Labyrinth, and from there we're gonna grab the branded banishment, right? And there's a reason I ended up grabbing branded banishment is because we already have branded red in our hand and branded fusion, plus branded opening. So at this point, I know I don't need to grab anything else, so I am just gonna grab that. They are going to chain the Labyrinth field spell to get the Lovely onto the field. I'm going to go ahead and also chain as well, which is going to allow me to grab ourselves the Maxi. So from here, we're gonna go activate the branded in red play. They're gonna activate Dimensional Barrier, which is going to stop us from special summoning any fusion monsters. So if you don't know, now at this point, they can actually end up locking me each play with a loop, but they're gonna go ahead and do this instead. They're gonna activate the Welcome Labyrinth to go ahead and give us an extra card, which is going to be the basically the Labyrinth Archfiend that they summon. So at this point, it's not looking too good. We can't fusion summon anything, so they're gonna activate Lovely, but instead of taking the Dimensional Barrier, they're going to try to troll us and summon out a Ash Blossom in attack mode, because they thought they had game, but little did they know they just can't do math for some odd reason. So yeah, but here we go. They're gonna get rid of our branded banishment, but this is why this deck is so good. So obviously we didn't open up with any of our PREDAPLANT cards until now. They're gonna go ahead and lock us out of fusions again. I'm actually gonna go activate Labyrinth's ability, grab ourselves a branded opening, use the branded opening now to toss the tragedy into grave, allowing us to get another Labyrinth onto the field. This is going to get destroyed, but at this point I actually want these cards to be destroyed, right? And the reason I want them to just be destroyed is because I need cards in our graveyard so we can activate the power of banishment and branded in red. Now I know you're wondering, well, how are you going to get the branded in red and punishment onto the field? Well, here we go. We're going to take branded punishment, banishment right there, and then on top of that we are going to get a branded fusion on the field as well. I'm going to put those face down. Now at this point we're going to use branded banishment, and this is when it gets super cool. As you can see, he top decks a maxi, which we don't care about. It just is what it is. We can't stop that, so he is going to be getting about 2 card summons, but we do get the Labyrinth onto the field. We're going to take all 3 of their monsters, fuse them together to make the one and only Triumph Overtum, and we are going to be putting that into defense. And if you're wondering why I ended up putting it into defense, is because we only have 300 attack, right? He does get a Dogmatica and he also gets a Ghastly, but we're not worried about that because we have PREDAPLANT planning in our graveyard, which we can banish to go ahead and pop a card on the field. So I'm going to go ahead and destroy 1 card on the field, and the reason that is because we were able to fusion summon a monster. We get rid of their field spell, Labyrinth, but they have a second copy, man. It's actually crazy. So at this point I decided, let's go ahead and use our quick spell to use both of our brandeds to get our Masquerade onto the field in defense. And the reason I did that is that way they don't have a way of doing any damage to us in any type of way. They are going to activate the power of punishment. I'm going to go ahead and be able to avoid that thanks to opening. And at this point they're going to go ahead and try to destroy it again. Now they're going to use Welcome Labyrinth to summon out 1 card. They're now activating Ghastly Glitch because they're really trying to get over a lot of our cards. And good thing we put these cards face down, because at this point they're thinking they're cards that they need to hit, right? But they really don't. So now we can go and summon out our Oliver. They're going to go ahead and use the Labyrinth to get another card onto the field. And at this point, here comes Ariana, which we're going to negate with the Imperm because we have no cards on the field. And this was because of the maxi, so I appreciate that. So there we go, negated. And at this point, we are looking good. It's looking like really nice for us. So here it comes. Here comes our Oliver. And now we can just go ahead and activate our branded fusion. And this is going to go ahead and scoop. So GG's. All right, so let's see. We are going to be going against a Runick deck. Now, this was super cool because my chat was like, yo, you're going against Runicks, just go ahead and scoop. But I said, let me just see if I can play it out, even with this hand, right? So obviously, we don't really have anything, but we do get into a branded opening, which is really good for us. So I'm going to go and toss out the ad-lib. From there, we're going to grab ourselves the Aluber. And then from there, we can finally grab the branded fusion. And now we know they have nothing that can stop the branded fusion. We actually end up tossing, instead of the tragedy, we're going to go and toss out PREDAPLANT Bilious, which is going to allow us to add a basically a PREDAPLANT monster to our hand, right? So here we go. Lubellion is going to then discard the call by, because I know we're playing Runicks. There's no need for us to keep called by, in my opinion, when I could use these other 2 cards more importantly. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and use the ad-lib in the graveyard and the Lubellion to go ahead and combine to make a Masquerade Dragon. Now, if you're wondering why I went Mask, it's because of the fact that I knew for a fact that Mirror Jade just isn't going to cut it here. As, yeah, we can banish a card, right? But because they activate so many cards, okay, we might as well just go Mask, because then we can burn them as well. So by me holding that Super Poly, I'm able to then take their card, burn them for a total of 1200, just so they could go ahead and summon 1 monster, right? They're going to then use that card to go ahead and try to destroy one of our monsters on the field. So Gary, however, can't pop us because we have the branded opening. Now they only have 2500 life points after 1 turn. So another 1200 is going to be really bad for them. They're going to activate Card of Demise. That's another 1200. That's another 1200. And as you can see, they just end up scooping because the double Masquerade is just too strong. So as you can see, even if we don't get to actually use any of the PREDAPLANT cards the way we want to, we were still able to go ahead and use what we could knowledge wise to go ahead and make what we wanted to. So GG's. Let's get into the next one. All right, so match number 2, and we are on going first. I'm sorry, it's been a long day, but anyways, we're gonna send out one card with Scorpio, which is going to be our PREDAPLANT buy list. Buy list is going to allow us to add a card to our hand, even though the Scorpio does get ashed. Now, what's really nice about this is because we already had one of the pendulum cards in our hand, we can then go ahead and pendulum summon. So with Triantis and also Buficola, we can then summon out PREDAPLANT Clammy and also the Stay Sailor. What this is going to allow us to do is use Clammies to go ahead and fusion summon, right? To go ahead and make a PREDAPLANT Ambu. Now with Ambu on the field, we can then add a card to our hand. I decided to add this because this is basically our Kaiju if our opponent has a PREDAPLANT counter on it. And then from there, we can actually use the Ambu to go ahead and summon out our Darlington by sacrificing these Stray Sailor, Romarin. And what this does is this card can actually search a lot of cards, basically any polymerization or fusion spell card. So it can search instant fusions, it can go ahead and search branded fusion, it could go ahead and search super polys, it can search I believe branded in reds, like just, you know, like crazy things like that. So obviously we use it to search the branded in red play right here. From there, we're going to go ahead and use Tragedy and also the power of Albez. And this time we're going to discard our card into the graveyard. Because remember, this card, when it's in the graveyard, it is a Kaiju as long as the opponent has a PREDAPLANT counter on them, right? So anyways, from there, we're going to go ahead and make ourselves a Mirror Jade. And then from the Mirror Jade, we can then use these two cards, fuse them together to make a Dragostapelia. So at this point, I'm going to then go ahead and banish the Darlington. This way, I can go ahead and get ourselves a branded in red, which is going to be super important here. So right now, we have a nice little setup. We had Adlib in our hand. They're going to go ahead and activate the Pot of Extravagance. Obviously, we could tell this is probably going to be either Floowandereeze or this was going to be Eldritch, right? So as you can see, they get Rivalry. And this is why this branded in red is going to be so useful. Because if you guys didn't know, Rivalry is such a killer for Despia. But anyways, let's go ahead and use Dragostapelia. We are going to negate the Robina. But however, they do have Advent. Advent is going to let them dodge the negate, which is then going to set them up to get a map into their hand. And then from there, they're going to go ahead and grab themselves the Stry. They're going to activate Eaglin. And then from there, they're going to chain block with the Robina. We're just going to fast forward this a little bit because their combos are usually super long. So they're going to grab the Ryza. They're going to summon out the Stry. The Stry is then going to banish that card, allowing them to summon out the M-Pen. M-Pen is then going to activate its effect, grabbing the Dreaming Town. Finally, they're going to summon out, activate Map. At this point, I'm going to activate Branded in red. We're going to use Tragedy and Adlib to make a Guardian Chimera, along with the Dragostapelia. And if you're wondering, Cal, why did you use that instead of use Mirror Jade? Well, here's the thing. Dragostapelia can negate as well once again. So as you can see, it's going to be super important for us. So now we do get the Dragostapelia onto the field. And then at this point, I put it in defense. The reason we're putting it in defense is this way the M-Pen can't stop me from activating my effects. As you can see, we do grab the Oliver. And then finally, we are going to pop a card with the Guardian Chimera, which is going to be the Rivalry of Warlords, allowing us to grab the Despia Tragedy and also the Clammy from our deck off the draw 2. We are then going to negate the M-Pen, allowing them to not destroy our Chimera, which is going to play a huge factor here. And you're going to see why. So at this point, they activate Map, use Toucan. And this duel was so crazy because of the fact that, like, it was so back and forth. And the whole time when I was doing this live on stream, I'm literally running out of time. And I couldn't understand, like, how am I running out of time so much playing this deck when literally it's been mostly them on my turn activating stuff. At one point I couldn't do anything. As you can see, they get the Ryza onto the field. Ryza is then gonna send back both the Mirror Jade and also Dragocepelia. So there they go back into the deck, and this is, I think, a huge mistake for him because it's gonna end up biting him in the butt. But anyways, he does activate the Unexplored Winds. We then top deck the most craziest Harpy's Feather Duster, which is actually ridiculous. So now we force them to activate Dreaming Town. We get rid of the Unexplored Winds. We get rid of that. And this is how we are going to be able to survive. That Harpy's Feather Duster was just too clutch at that moment. But anyways, as you can see, they get the M-Pen onto the field. And then at this point, I'm thinking, all right, we're still fine. I can just use our Guardian Chimera, right, to go ahead and attack the Avian when they summon out the Avian, because that's what I believe they're going to do, because of the fact that I can still flip Chimera face up into attack mode, and because we're not using it for the effect, I would still be okay. But anyways, they summon out the Robina. They're going to chain block with the Toucan, and then after that they're going to go summon out the Eaglin. I think personally this person should probably play DD Crow, because DD Crow would have been really useful for them here, but they instead decide to not, I guess, deck it. And on top of that, they decided to go for the Ryza instead of a Avian, which was kind of crazy to me, because right now we only play one Guardian Chimera in this deck. So for them to recycle this card into our deck again, that means we have another way of destroying cards and adding cards to our hand. But as you can see, this is a crazy interaction, and this is why we sped up the last time with Floowandereeze. They just do too much. But they are going to send the Ryza back. Finally, it's still our turn, by the way. They were doing this all on our turn. We're going to use Alibur, and then from there, we're going to use Branded Fusion. Once again, we're going to send the buy list to the graveyard. Because we already have Tragedy in their hand, we didn't need to go ahead and send Tragedy off the Branded Fusion. And as you can see, I'm not activating Tragedy's ability, and you're going to see why. So anyways, here comes Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is going to activate the effect. We are now going to banish out the M-Pen, and then from there, now I'm going to activate our Tragedy so we can go ahead and put our Branded in red face down. And because I don't have a Despia monster in the graveyard, I'm now going to attack the Ryza with the power of Alibur, which is going to allow me to now use either my Branded Banishment or my Branded in red. And this is where I've said them using that Chimera was huge, sending it back. And you can see why, because once they activate Unexplored Winds, they do not have a call by, they don't have a ghost. We can now use Alibur, we can now use our Pendulum card, and also the PREDAPLANT monster in our hand to make ourselves a Guardian Chimera. At this point, we're going to go ahead and destroy the Unexplored Winds. We top deck into an Ash Blossom, and this is why Chimera is so good. At this point, they're going to summon out Stride, go into the Toucan, grab the Unexplored Winds, summon out the Eaglin, and at this point, we're going to negate it. And the reason we're able to negate it is because if you look, they messed up. They did not keep a card here for them to be able to chain block, which is going to be the key issue. At this part, I did think that they were going to grab Map, but I'm starting to think that they're not playing multiple copies of Map. I think they're only playing one, which to me is ridiculous, because at this point you would think they would have activated it by now. But now look, they're going to use Unexplored Winds. They're going to send the Robina back in the deck, send the M-Pen back in the deck. They're searching for a card. I don't know what they're searching for, but they get a Dimensional Fissure. Now I'm like, oh crap, we cannot use our banishment because we can't get a monster into the graveyard. But it's okay though. No M-Pen on the field, which means we can actually use our effects. But we can't use Mirror Jade because we can't send a card to the graveyard due to Dimensional Fissure. So I decided to go with Lubellion. From the Lubellion, we're going to actually toss the Branded Opening into the grave because it's not a monster, so it still does go into the grave. Send those two cards back to make a Dragocepelia, and this is the reason I did this, is so we have a negate. We're going to use our PREDAPLANT monster once again to lower the attack of Ryza. We're going to attack with Mirror Jade. So even if Mirror Jade can't do his banish, it's still a beast stick with 3k attack. And this is going to solidify the game for us as we go ahead and get the Dragon's Depelia. Now they are going to activate the evenly match, which was crazy. just wild. But anyways, as you can see, Unexplored Winds, they're going to send the Ryza. And then on top of that, they're going to send the Eaglin. Why are they doing this? I don't know. I don't get it. Because I feel like they could have used that to easily summon out a monster, but I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, it is going to be GG's. Let's get into the last video of the duel.